So Camilla, you have been investing in real estate for over 18 years. I am so curious about what drives your passion to create wealth.
Oh, that's a great question. So for me, it's about empowerment. I really believe that a financially empowered woman is a force for good in the world, and creating wealth is just kind of a step to living a more purposeful life. And so for me, it's just been about how can I be really intentional about living my life, about raising my family, about giving back to the community, and about teaching others how to also become financially empowered. And so that's what's really motivates me is just being more purposeful, because I'm a really purposeful investor. I don't necessarily invest just for wealth, right? There's three things I call it my investing trifecta.
Nice.
And in the investing trifecta, you really get three different types of returns. So obviously you can get a financial return, a really good financial return by investing in real estate. Also, you can get a social return, because the type of investments that I focus on are apartment buildings, large apartment complexes that are in the blue collar neighborhoods. And so we're really providing housing, which is a basic necessity of life for people. And I care very deeply about my tenants. I want to make sure that they have just a really great place to live, that it's safe, it's clean, and they feel valued and taken care of. And then the third one in the trifecta is an environmental return, because we really try to focus on reducing our carbon footprint by, doing low flow toilets and faucets throughout the whole complex, and focus on energy efficiency as well. And so it's really cool, really fun to do.
Oh, absolutely. I love that holistic approach. I love your trifecta. I mean, it just touches on everything. And no wonder you've been doing this for almost 2 decades, because when you touch on that global kind of ecology, there's so many more chances for sustainability. So I absolutely love that. Two questions came up. One, how have you dealt with being an apartment building manager after COVID or through COVID, with all of the different financial impacts that people have been experiencing?
Yeah, so it's been tough, right? And it's challenging. And I know that we're all in very challenging times. I mean, the amount of unemployment is just keeps going up and up and up. And so what we're doing is we are trying really hard to work with our tenants, and we want to make sure that they get all the information necessary to know where they can turn if they have lost their job, or if they have a hardship related to COVID, because we really don't want to just, kick people out because the pandemic, right? I mean, it's not our style. It's not how we work. We want to definitely work with our tenants and take care of them. And in turn, they will be able to take care of us. So we do all sorts of creative ways of paying rent. So, someone comes to us and they say, hey, I'm really sorry, I lost my job. I'm not going to be able to pay rent. And we say, well, could you pay half? Well, okay, yeah, I could come up with half. All right, let's do half this month. And then we'll add on the amount that you owed, in small increments. We'll spread it out over the rest of your lease. Just all sorts of creative things that we can do. But then we also are just educating, making sure they know that there are resources. I mean, you can go and you can file for unemployment. And so you can get the government's going to try to take care of you, right? Try to help out so that you can pay your rent and pay for your groceries and pay for your, the things that you need.
Yeah, I love that. It really sounds like one of your core philosophies is empowerment. And I'm very curious, what is your backstory that made that such an incremental piece of what you do today?
Yeah, so my backstory is that I was raised in a family that where men and women had very separate traditional duties, right? So a very traditional household where the mother stayed home and the father went to work, and that's how I started my path as well. So I stayed home and my husband went to work. I had 5 babies, and they're such great little kids. I love my children, and then about 5 years in, I felt like I was made for more. I felt like there was something more inside of me that I could really share with the world. And I felt like I had some God-given talents and abilities and skills, and I was blessed with a very intelligent mind, and I needed to use that to be a force for good. And so that's when I really started investing in real estate, and started my own business in the investment space. And then I went on to start another business in music education, and I'm starting another one now that's more along the lines of financial education for parents, like teaching parents how to teach your children about financial education. And I just noticed too that throughout, I spent a lot of time reading books about finances and money and how to really manage it and to get control of it, because I didn't want the money controlling me. And what's sad is that our educational system doesn't teach that, doesn't teach anything about money management and how to really do that. And so these kids leave the home and they become adults, and they're frustrated and they're struggling, and they get preyed on by credit card companies, and then they're in all sorts of debt, and it's just this really big problem that I think that if more women were educated financially, we could solve this. We could definitely help solve this issue.
That is such an inspirational story. I love it. Something I'm very, very curious about is, what did it take? It sounds like it took a lot of bravery and courageousness, but I'd love to know what it took specifically for you to make that decision, or where that crossroads was, coming from a very traditional household where the roles were very defined. Even though you had that gut instinct that you were meant for more, what was that process like for you? For listeners that are like, yes, I'm meant for more too, but I have this conditioning of the rules. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, the conditioning, it was something that was very challenging, really, really hard for me. And I had to really dig deep. And I had to read a lot of books, and I really needed to see others who had gone before me. And it wasn't until, probably my youngest child was 3. So my youngest of 5 children was 3, that I said, you know what, I've got to do something. And I decided I wanted to try to get a real job. So I'd done a lot of, entrepreneurship stuff, and I've been doing some education, but I thought, well, maybe I should, try the real corporate career. And I applied for 45 different jobs.
Wow.
And I got a couple of interviews, turned down for all of them. All of them.
Wow.
And I looked at my resume, and I said, my skills are there. I have amazing organizational skills. Heck, I'm a mother of 5, right? Like, how could you not be organized?
Absolutely.
And then I'd done all sorts of volunteering. I've been an athletic coach, right? So I had a lot of skills that I could provide to a workplace, but the workplace couldn't see that. And so, a lot of women, we have this challenge of, we have this gap, right? This gap in our years. So sometimes you take some time off to raise children, and then you go back and you're penalized for that time that you took off. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I need more education. Maybe I need something bigger on my resume. So I decided to get my MBA. And an MBA was a big step, because my undergrad degree was in English education, because I thought I was going to be a high school teacher. Because again, that's another traditional path that seemed simple, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went and I decided to get my MBA, and I was blown away, because it took a long time to study for the GMAT and to pass that test. And I didn't pass it the first time. I passed the second time, and I'd increased my score by like 100 points the second time, because I was determined. And then got in my MBA, and that's where I really had the wrestle with the traditional conditioning that I learned. And I really had to understand that, and I'm a woman of faith too. And so it was kind of a wrestle that I was having with God and the world, and I knew I was meant for more. And it was a professor that really helped me, and it was a female professor, and she kind of looked at me and she said, "Do you think God gave you all these talents and abilities just for your children?" And I was like, "No." I don't. She's like, "No." She's like, "Your children are going to benefit greatly, and your children are going to be amazing human beings because of of what you can give them, but you have way more to give, and people need you." And then this is what stuck me. She said, "You're being selfish, by not sharing.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh,
I
and
love that. I love those kind of mentors that can say it straight and
yeah.
they really can change the whole course of your future. So bless that professor. That's pretty amazing. I love that. I'm interested though, I'd love for you to explain the difference between the income gap and the wealth gap for women.
Mhm. Yes. So the income gap, we hear about the income gap all the time, right? So the income gap is one that where 70 cents, women make 70 cents on the dollar. Now, of course, there's theories out there that refute that, say that it's not real, right? But I believe it's real. But the wealth gap is even bigger. The wealth gap is almost 50% gap. And so what happens is that men are the ones who control the majority of the wealth in the world, right? And then if you think about what would happen, and this is one of my theories, right? What would happen if women controlled more of the wealth than men? How would our world be different?
Mm.
Because I think that as women, we really like to, we want to take care of our communities. We want to take care of our children. We will do as much as we can to use that wealth for good. And I truly believe that. And I think that the more that we can empower women to build wealth, and then the better our world is going to be.
Yeah. What's one step that we can take to independently start growing our own wealth?
Great question. So, I'm a big fan of real estate. I've been in real estate for, almost 20 years. And I think real estate is where, if you look at the stats, about 95% of millionaires own real estate. So it's a really important asset to have in your portfolio.
Mhm.
So if you have not yet invested in real estate, I think that's the next step for sure. You need to start putting your money to work. And there's a really cool way to do it. And this is what I've learned over 18 years. I've tried all sorts of them. I mean, I know how to wield a hammer. I can I can rehab my own house, and use all the power tools, and my children know all of that stuff too. But it's not always the most practical, and it's a really steep learning curve. So I think the easiest way to invest in real estate is through what's called passive investing.
Mhm.
So if you think about money that you put in the stock market, because remember that's traditional. I'm sure that every financial advisor you've gone to said, "Oh, okay, just put your money in a mutual fund," and that's great, right? So all you do is you put your money in the mutual fund, and then someone else manages that money for you, right? Kind of a set it and forget it.
Sure.
Well, there's a way to do that in real estate as well, and that's called passive investing called a syndication. Now, syndication is just a fancy word for group investment. So it's just a group of us that get together that buy a big apartment complex rather than just buying a single house on your own and having to manage it and do all the things yourselves. You start with a group. And you, as the passive investor, do exactly what you did with your mutual funds. You put your money into the real estate asset, you set it and forget it, and you let the professionals like me and my team manage that. And then you get to benefit from it. And there's three really huge benefits that you'll get from investing in real estate. So number one is you're going to get cash flow. So you're going to get monthly cash flow. And this is money that you can live on, right? This is money that could actually start replacing your own income. It's a passive income stream that could come in for you. Number two, you're going to get huge tax benefits. The majority of my investors, of people who invest with me, in the end, don't have to pay taxes on the money that they're getting back from their investment. Now, why is that? Are we cheating the system? No, we're not cheating the system. I'm very much an upholder. If you've read Gretchen Rubin's, Four Tendencies, right? I follow rules and I read all the rules, and my daughter makes fun of me for it.
I love it. Compliance is a good thing. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So we follow every rule, but the government needs our help as investors to provide housing for the millions of people who need it. They can't do it themselves. And so they incentivize us as investors and give us like big tax breaks so that we can do that. And then the third great benefit from investing in real estate is appreciation. So if you're investing in the right markets that are appreciating, then at the end of the investment, you'll get a large sum of cash to come back. And typically we try to double money in about 5 years time. So whatever amount you put in, we try to double it in 5 years. That doesn't always happen, right? You have to remember that an investment is an investment, and sometimes they do great, sometimes they don't do great, but it's still a very quality, solid way to build wealth.
That's so exciting. I'm such a firm believer of diversifying your portfolio, not only your financial portfolio, but also the portfolio for solopreneurs when they are creating the wheel of all the different avenues that they can bring income in. Big fan of passive income. I think that we're seeing now more than ever in the global pandemic that if you put all of your eggs in one basket, it is really a cause for turbulence. So I'm wondering the risk side of things for people that are new to this avenue of passive income through real estate. Can you talk a little bit about risk and how to manage or mitigate risk?
You bet. So the risk in investing in a real estate investment is that number one, the biggest risk is that the people you invest with do not execute the business plan. So often the business plan will be to go in to fix up the apartments, make them safer, cleaner, nicer, and then we raise rents a little bit, and tenants are always happy to pay for a nicer place. And then by doing that, we increase the value of the asset, and that's how you're going to get that steady cash flow and the appreciation at the end. So that's the biggest risk, right? So you could put your money in and you could, the business plan isn't executed properly. And so then you don't get as much as you thought you would get in the beginning. Now, I do have to say there's always the risk that you'll lose all your money. Just like we saw in the stock market, people lost a lot of money in what happened in the stock market crash earlier this year. Yes. So that is always a risk. And so you should never invest with your last penny, right? I'm a firm believer in having a cash emergency fund just sitting in a bank. I know it's not sexy. It doesn't make much money, right? But you need to have just some cash sitting there just in case. And then the other money that you invest with is money that you don't need, right? And so also you need to understand that a real estate investment is not a liquid investment. So you can't get your money out, say if you need it in a year, you have an emergency, you need it in a year. Now, we will work with you if there's a true emergency, but just realize it's difficult to do because someone else will have to buy you out is basically how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for explaining that, because I do think that many people avoid investing because it's new and they're afraid the learning curve is going to be great. And also they don't want to look foolish. They don't want to make a mistake. I'm curious what the number one fear that you see in female investors is right now in your arena.
Yeah. So the number one fear is of course, it's new, right? So I don't know how to do it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not sure, I have this analysis paralysis going on. And then also, a lot of women struggle with their relationship with money too. And, how do we, some people hoard it because they've had a bad experience. Others just spend it like crazy when they're feeling bad. There's just really different relationships with money out there. So you need to understand your own relationship with money, and you need to understand that money is just a tool, right? It's a tool that we have, and no, it's not the most, the best thing. And no, our goal in life is not to make the most of it. Our goal is to use the tool for good. And so that's what you do. Now, on the analysis paralysis side, I'm all about education. And so my business, I spend a lot of time making educational videos, writing blog posts, and just putting out as much information as I can. And then I'm happy to get on the phone with people and talk to them one-on-one and help them understand. And I get it, right? The first time you invest, because these types of investments are not small dollar investments. These are bigger dollar investments. Sure. And, the first time I did it, I panicked a little bit when I, hit the money fund. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. But, nothing, I think fear can can just cripple you, right? And so you have to allow yourself to step into fear and to sit with it for a minute in order to move forward and progress. You're not going to progress if you don't get past that fear.
100%. And honestly, that same pattern is something that we see even in the entrepreneurial space. You know, we're all new at something. We all start at zero at some point, and then it's just through education. And two qualities that I very much hear and see from you in your story is perseverance and determination. And that combination gets you far in the entrepreneurial space. It sounds like you can very much overlay that philosophy or that pattern in investing as well. I'm curious what you find to be 2 or 3 of the top core values of your ideal clients.
Yeah, so my ideal client is someone who has been working, you know, right? And so you've built up some good income, you're at a good place in your life, and you're looking at your money and you're thinking, I probably should do something more with what I have, right? Like if you've never really studied investing, you've never really understood what to do, you've just kind of put the money in the 401k like your job told you to, and maybe you started a mutual fund because that's what your financial planner told you. So my favorite is women who are in that space and who are just kind of starting to think, I know that real estate's a good investment, but I just don't know how, right? And just thinking about tenants and termites and toilets just like gets my head and makes my head spin. You know, I just don't want to.
Three-headed T's. It's like the opposite of your trifecta, right?
That's right. That's right. And so that's my favorite. And I get so excited when women really take that next step and they just say, okay, I know that this is going to be a good thing. And I know that this is going to bless my family, because really real estate's yeah. And real estate can build that generational wealth as well. There's amazing tax benefits where you could pass on all of your real estate investments to your heirs tax-free. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it really is. It's exciting. It's such a way to get in the driver's seat, take control, get the education, and leave a legacy. And I know so many of our listeners, those are their desires. They want to make an impact. They care about their community. So this is just such a wonderful and exciting conversation. One thing that I've been dying to ask you is, you're a mama of 5 kids, which is incredible. And I'm wondering how you keep it all together. What is your work-life balance secret formula?
So the secret is there is no secret. It's just messy. It's always messy, and it's always going to be messy. And I think in the beginning, there have been moments in my life that I'm like, why is this so hard? But now I've come to realize to really enjoy, the messy middle, right? I think that's where I am. It's just the messy middle. We figure things out and we work together. But I think what's beautiful about it is that I try really hard to involve my children in my business. So for example, my oldest daughter is a tech whiz, and she helps me build my website. My twin daughters, who are 15, they're learning video editing, and they're helping me edit my videos.
Oh, that is so cool.
I mean, all 5 of the children help us in our rehabs. And so, one of our other specialties is rehabbing houses, and they all know how to do it, and they're right there in the business. They know it, they are learning it. And then entrepreneurship is really fun. And, we go on drives, and I'm always listening to podcasts about building your business and entrepreneurship. So they've all got the bug. And in fact, I'm so excited because my oldest daughter she just turned 18, graduated from high school, and she's launching her first business. And
wow.
I'm helping her with that. And it's going to be, it's in the financial services, because that's just something we know.
That's your jam.
That's
so
our jam. Yeah.
Wow.
And she's gonna teach college kids how to not be poor, and how to really get through college debt free, because the student loan crisis, I call it a crisis, is just cripples those kids as they're coming out of college.
Wow, what a service. That is so needed. It's so inspirational. I love that you changed the story. I love that you really created a family of equality and unity. I'm very, very passionate about empowering women that they can do anything, they can be anything. And what even if our household said, no, this is the lane that you should be in, and this is, work reserved for the men of the family. It's so exciting when you get to change the channel and you actually see that fruition come about from your offspring. So kudos to you, like deeply. I'm very touched by that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's amazing. How can people learn more about you and enter into your world?
You bet. So my business is called Steady Stream Investments. It's playing on the passive streams of income, and you can find me at my website. But I just want to offer to your listeners, I do have a free masterclass on passive investing that I've created, and you can get that from my website. Just right there on the front homepage, you can get your free masterclass, and it will walk you through all the basics, all the risks, all the how-tos, from A to Z, exactly how to get there, how to do it, and what the results are going to be for you. And so I'd love to offer that.
Thank you so much. What a generous gift. I'll make sure to put that resource link in the show notes. And Camilla, you've shared so many bits and pieces of how to demystify passive income investing. But if you were to leave our listeners with a bright light wisdom, what would it be?
I'd like to leave you with this. So I struggled with perfectionism when, in the beginning, and it took a lot of work on my part, deep internal work, to allow myself to be okay with not perfect content, right? So not a perfect business, not a perfect family, not perfect hair, right? Like all those things. And to get to a place in my life where I could fail and I could show my children and show others that failure is an important step in the process. And so for you, for the listeners out there, I just want to encourage you to just take steps, right? Just like put something out there, in your own business, in your investing life, just take the next step and don't get hung up on making it perfect or amazing or, exactly right, because you can always tweak it and change it later. And so I think that's something that has really helped me propel my business forward and really gain some traction in the last couple of years.
Thank you so much. What a valuable message. Enjoy the messy middle and just keep putting one foot in front of the other and taking action, even if it's imperfect action. Beautiful, Camilla. Thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, it was awesome. Until next time, my friend.